I'm just gonna read the rest of these books, so this is just more of a lore episode. You can skip it if you want. A first edition of the collected quotes of Ventari, the centaur beloved of many Silvari. The centaur beloved by many Silvari. There was a time once when humans and centaurs lived in peace, but that was long, long ago. I'm afraid I will not live to see such a time again. A time come again to Tyria. The outside world is a violent place where the seeds of chaos are sown with innocent tears. Centaurs are a proud race, fiery with passion. They would not see humans as equals against the odds they fought. The humans rose to crush them, or consumed those lands and my home with it. Forging the path of serenity from the mind to the heart is more difficult than any battle fought with steel. The only place to be found is within the self. This place is home, as bloodshed casts its shadows. We shelter beneath this place of solace, to live life as it was meant to be, in harmony and unity. Regardless of race or castle, all are welcome. All of this began as a seed that Ronan gave me. He fought the white mantle who slaughtered my people. Those battles cost him his wife and daughter. In his grief, he threw down his weapon. Perhaps he was looking for escape or a place to die, to end his suffering. There he lay a broken man, and in that moment he found the seed that would become all of this. Live life well and fully, and waste nothing. Do not fear difficulty. Hard ground makes stronger roots. The only lasting peace is the peace within your own soul. All things have a right to grow. The blossom is brother to the weed. Never leave a wrong to ripen into evil or sorrow. Act with wisdom, but act. From the smallest blade of grass to the largest mountain where life goes, so too should you. Written by the Loworth. This work is a psychological and historical look at the Nightmare Court. It offers several sound theories for why the court tortures and kills so indiscriminately. Secondborn Caterin founded the Nightmare Court, gathering its members from Silvari who had darkened hearts and cruel minds. Firstborn Fallon was one of the early converts. Nightmare Courtiers believe that in order to have balance, one must allow darkness in. They seek to inject nightmare into the dream by torturing their fellow Silvari and breaking their minds. They have no empathy for other creatures and will massacre a whole village if its citizens get in their way. The depth of their depravity has never been fully measured. Firstborn Fallon herself took over as the court's Grand Duchess, obsessed with Keith. She has tried on numerous occasions to introduce Keith to Nightmare and convert her as well. Keith continues to resist, though Fallon has taken extreme measures, including poisoning Keith with Nightmare and forcing her to participate in Nightmare activities. The Nightmare Court rejects Ventari's tablet and its philosophies, and the more time that passes, the more dangerous and unpredictable they become. Oof. Scary people. Discussions with Amaranda, the Lonesome, resulted in this collection of thoughts and theories on Malik, a Silvari who awakened beyond the Pale Tree. As you know well, all Silvari, whether of Ventari's philosophy or a nightmare bent, came from the Pale Tree. To consider that one who is so like us could come from elsewhere is humbling and confusing. We know that we are who we are because of Ronan and Ventari's care. So where did Malik come from? I have many questions about this. If he came from a different tree, then where did he get this knowledge of the world? Is there another dream out there somewhere? Why does he resemble humans as we resemble Ronan? Why does he not know his own mother? Surely if there were another tree, he would remember her. And why do the Nightmare Court call him their harbinger? A harbinger is an omen, but is it good or evil? Malik is no one. He comes from nowhere. On one hand, I am sorry for him. He has no roots. On the other, I am envious. He can become whatever he chooses. I hope he chooses well. It's one that I just, See, this collection of tips and tricks will guide the reader through crew selection, written by Forgy. Not all tasks can be performed by crew members. You may need special volunteers to further your research. It doesn't sound promising. For example, suppose your crew has a prototype that will allow Azura to fly at the speed of a Canthan firework. How are you going to test it? Obviously, you can't test it. You're far too valuable, and crew members can be expensive to replace, so you need a buka. Ooh. Your average buka, aka human, is very easy to manipulate with flattery and tends to enjoy going on adventures. Rude. Part 1 of a 3-part volume by Array Lorehunter about the history of Ascalon's capital. Rin is the sister city to Dreskir. Dreskir was the seat of the government and business, while Rin represented art, magic, and learning. King Dork founded Rin for the study of arcane arts and in order to create a powerful defensive force with mages of immense power. Dreskir was weakened in the Guild Wars and finally fell when the Char attacked. The terrified king moved his capital to still strong Rin. Part 2. Humans lost most of what made Rin special during the Searing, when flame shamans destroyed Ascalon. King Adalbern moved out of Rin, but kept it as his capital throughout his life. The Sorcerer King loved Rin. Adalbern's son used Stormcaller to cripple the Char, but eventually Bonfaz, Burntfur, and his war band overran the city of Rin. Part 3. Let's see, Char builders replaced the crumbling stone of the human capital with strong iron and renamed it the Black Citadel. Some of the pitiable stone architecture can still be seen south of the Bane in the Black Citadel. The Imperators have left the ruins there as a reminder to all. The Char Society has flourished and taken root in land that once was called Ascalon. They have returned home. We have returned home. Thesis. An Azurian named Zach postulates in this modern scholarly thesis that if an elder dragon were to die, his magic would be released back into Tyria, starting at the moment of death. He further suggests, however, that this will allow the remaining dragons to become even more powerful as they begin consuming the released magic as well. In consideration of sacrifice by Avenia of the Shining Blade. A human lay upon the sacrificial altar. White mantle braziers cast a demonic glow. Mer saw it. They didn't touch the ground, but floated above it, as if too good for our land. Still just recruits. My fellows and I had rushed into the depths of the Maguma jungle to make a difference. I watched the Mersat drift toward the terrified captive. Our orders were to wait. We circled their victim, and his fearful cries rang out. I saw it then, the scepter of war, raised high, glinting in the moonlight. We have to go now. I looked to our lieutenant. Why do we wait? Our lieutenant cast a warning glare at us. They were going to kill their prisoners, and we were waiting. I didn't understand. The man screamed a sound so full of pain I thought I was hearing his soul being torn from his body. I gripped my weapon tightly to keep from screaming with him. It was done. The man was dead. A wave of euphoria came over the White Mantle and their grotesque gods. They fell into chaos and let slip their vigilance. My lieutenant raised his weapon and said to know when to sacrifice one for the many is never easy, but today the shining blade will gleam with the blood of murderers. Charge. Ooh. See, a poem by Arcanist Davworth details the time just after the searing of Ascalon. The summer of 1070 AE was particularly hot in Ascalon. Fire rained from the sky. Thousands died. Jeez. Autumn was worse because it hadn't ended and Ascalon shriveled. Still, some trees are dead wood rather than leafy beacons of hope. Winter never came to soothe tensions. Let's see, in a missive to Niam in the Grove, firstborn Dagonet describes the court politics of the Crichton royalty. Dearest Niam, I write you from the beautiful gardens of Divinity's Reach. One day you really must visit. You would be amused by the political maneuverings I witness here. The kingdom has two ruling bodies, the Queen and the Ministry. Although the Queen technically is in charge, the Ministry goes to great lengths to get what they want, and they're often successful. The Ministry is led by a bombastic human named Get Minister Lord Codicus Beetlestone the Wise. I kid you not, and if you think his name is dazzling, you should meet him. He's quite the charmer. But he's no Queen Jenna, and try as he might, the people will not love him as they love her. She is the ruler of a diminished society of humans. The combination of Krita and Ascalon. I'm ever impressed at her ability to pull her people together to defend each other, their territory, and their beliefs. Humans have many flaws, but their nobility is sometimes as sincere as ours. This book is a first printing and compiles the work of Crichton philosopher Ben Millen. All human contains vast amount of hate. The key is to release that evil in prayer to Grenth. If magic and power are too strong, quell them with monotony and routine. When you see yourself do good, praise the gods. When you see yourself do evil, mourn their absence. Stormcaller Calling the Storm. This book by Watchman Promise is the definitive tome on the history of the ancient relic used in the war against the Char. King Doric constructed Stormcaller on Horn Hill north of Rin, his capital city, in the year 0 AE. The horn had originally been built to demonstrate the king's mastery of arcane arts, but it became a weapon shortly after. As the Great Northern Wall was being built, it became known via prophecy that the sound of the billowing pipes would render the enemies of Ascalon helpless. The horn's mouthpiece had been lost in the Guild War, but it was recovered by Prince Rurik, who then used the horn to summon rain and weaken the Char by putting out their fires. And that's right. Let's see, this tells ancient Char legends about Ascalon. It was a mythology book compiled by Sita Commandheart. Once fearsome beasts walked the land. These giants ripped smaller animals apart with their sharp teeth and kicked rocks miles away. The creatures had claws longer than Char arms that they used to spear and cook their prey. Yikes. These creatures died because they did not work in war bands. When dragons attacked, they fought and died alone. The Char ruled Ascalon differently. We made war bands and legions. We made armies. Then the humans arrived and pushed us from our land. We retaliated and took it back. More editorial than actual historical work, this book by Zach, published in 1326 AE, deconstructs the nature of the gods worshipped by humans. Is it coincidence that they have been gone since the first dragon began to stir? I think not. While they may not be gods, they are certainly not fools. The dragons would covet magic such as theirs. These beings are benefactors, often reluctant, sometimes misguided, and occasionally vindictive. To say that they created our world is ridiculous. Did they bring humans to Tyria? I cannot argue against this. It is an ancient belief that has no proof to support or deny it. Perhaps humans are constructs created from clay and bone. Perhaps they were brought here from somewhere else, in the mists, or some other realm within the eternal alchemy. I think either of these is plausible, given the power wielded by these beings. But are they gods? I say no. They are what we would all become if given the amount of magical energy they possess, and allowed to live as long as they appear to have. Yeah, I did. That's just one side, though. Oh my goodness. Lord of Faunover. This book is by scholar Elaine, goes into meticulous detail about the various species of plant found in Krita. Wild herbs can be found throughout Krita, thyme, parsley, tarragon, and other leafy greens can be found in natural patches. Other edibles such as strawberries can be cultivated easily but thrive mostly on farms and not in nature. Once you learn the plants of Kraita and can tell oregano from sage, the world is more engaging and less of a surprise. Black Moa personal account. This book by Rutger Zuheltzer describes a carnivorous bird that is feared, respected, and legendary among the Kurziks. It all began when I was out on patrol, keeping my eyes peeled for Luxon scouts, my ears filled with the shrill cries of a beast. I chased the black moa. It was evil. I had heard that it eats other animals. I now believe it eats people as well. I nearly caught it, but it thrashed and scratched. It squawked and screamed. When it ran, I tried to track it, but it is fast and ferocious. Let's see. Welcome to Osbert's Bleak's Nightmares for the Naughty Children, a series of children books designed to scare the snot wit and spittle out of them. Lock your doors and settle in for a dreadful tale. The Boy and the Thief of Toys. In times woefully recent, there was a wealthy human boy named Thom, who lived in Lion's Arch with his widowed mother. Thom had many luxuries, including a box of toys that he kept all to himself. One day, a mysterious stranger came to the door, dressed in tatters and with his face hidden inside a deep hood. Thom's mother invited him in and offered sustenance. The stranger told him that he had left his family to search for work. He was finally able to return home, but he was returning empty-handed. He wished more than anything for a present to give his son, a boy the same age as Thom. Thom's mother suggested he take one of Thom's toys since Thom had so many. Thom grew angry. Why must I give my toys to the stranger? I don't know him. I don't know his son. They're my toys, mine, until I die. The stranger watched as Thom's humiliated mother fled to her bedroom and he asked, "You will not share even one toy with a child who has so much less than you?" Thom shook his head. "For your mother's sake," the stranger told Thom, "I will take the least valuable and the most useless item in the house." He touched Thom's arm and murmured the curse. The curse hardened Thom's heart even more. It turned him into wood, carved and jointed. The mysterious stranger tucked Thom under his arm and headed for home. Oh. He kidnapped the boy. Written by Dunmel Gorhopf. This book defends the the usefulness of one of the many strange creatures found in Cantha. The chubby gray creature known as the wallow is a perfect example of an animal for which people should have the utmost respect. Wallows love to eat truffles and can be domesticated to help you find the luxurious and expensive ingredient. Some hunters kill them for their tusks, and the truffles are digesting instead of taming the useful beasts. Because of this, dozens of hunters are knocked down and killed by wallows every year. Respect as opposed to assault would save their lives. This children's book by Pitney tells the hilarious tale of a moa who constantly gets into trouble and the exacerbated farmer who takes care of him. When the moa wandered out of its pen, the farmer shouted, "No, moa," but the bird didn't listen. The farmer followed and shouted, "No, moa," as the bird nearly ran afoul as a hungry char. The farmer yelled, "No, moa," when it ran into the catacombs to escape the char. The farmer reluctantly went in after the moa, knees knocking, and said, "Yes, moa," as the bird ran to him, its knees knocking too. Almost there. Not really.
Everything has unfolded as I